Well, good afternoon. It is still Friday, 17th of July, July 7th, and I'm still trying to get to Great Sail Key. I am living a sailor's nightmare because this boat really likes a little wind to sail. There's my apparent wind speed, 0.0. I'm pushing at 4.2, 4.3 knots. Fighting a little bit of current, though it is finally subsiding. And there is a little tiny breeze coming from that direction, which will be about 3 or 4 knots because there's no apparent wind. It's from behind me. Hot conditions. Hot, hot, hot. Sweltering. The last time I took on water was in Daniel K. down in Exumas. Gotta be, think about here, 30th, 20th, 2 weeks ago. So 50 gallons of water, still on the 50-gallon water tank. I do have a 15-gallon reserve in jugs right now. I had 21, but I've been drinking. So I've drank about 6 gallons of fresh water. I have about 15 gallons left, which will get me to the dock at home. But worst case scenario is I have no wind, and I'm just, I'm ready to head to the house. There was a tropical system behind me that is now looks like it's going to dissipate off of Puerto Rico, which I sort of had the feeling that was going to do, but I didn't want to take the chance. It's like I'm this far into my trip, limited spots to hide up here. My friends are like, go here, go there. Well, I know a lot of these spots, but I'm hot. Sweating, as you can tell, and was looking for something a little different, which is air conditioning. It's time. It's July 7th, and it's hot. Though this is the perfect time to be in the Bahamas, especially if you're on a small boat. I'm panning around back here, and look at this. I mean, this is Lake Atlantic, the banks, everything. Thunderstorms this time of year. I expect some later on tonight. You can see up here we got some islands coming up. I am just approaching Great Sail Key, which is a really cool place. The largest barracuda I have ever seen in my life lived over on the west coast of this place. They're called Great Barracuda. The size of them were just enormous, like nothing I have ever seen before. I'm curious if they're still like that. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to go explore. I've got a long shot tomorrow. I've realized that I have to pull the motor on the dinghy and all the weight out of it because it slows me down to 4 knots. I can make about 5 knots if I'm not overloaded in the dinghy. The dinghy is a real drawback. Alright, it's always best to carry your dinghy either on davits or on board. That doesn't look like much, but with my 8 horsepower motor, that slows me down between a half and 1 knot. That's about 20 to 25% of my boat speed. So it is very significant. So I'm going to pull that off tonight, the outboard and the fuel tank, just so I can make a better run tomorrow because I have like 45 miles to run tomorrow. So it'll take me 15 minutes to unload it and another 15 minutes to load it back, and I'll more than save that up in time by pulling it off tomorrow. Also, if you're towing a dinghy and you get a major thunderstorm come through here with 50 and 60 knot winds, it's quite common to flip those dinghies, especially the soft bottom. That's a hard bottom dinghy. It may not flip, it may flip, but I've talked to more than one, and I've seen 2 that have flipped over and dropped their outboard on the back. Gets upside down, and the outboard works its way out of the bracket. Boom. You now have a dinghy without an outboard. So it's not a really great idea to tow a dinghy with an outboard. I've been cruising the banks, so I'm doing it right now. But both times I've seen people lose outboards, we were on the bank. So keep that in mind. Got rain going over here. We don't really have thunderstorms. I mean, if you look up at this one here, you see that, we'll call that the anvil. These storms aren't getting very big. little shy on my weather knowledge why they're capping off so early. That's not really that high. I'm going to guess 30,000 feet, 25 to 30. It's got an anvil on it. Once that anvil forms, that storm is dissipating, which is good if it's coming at you. And you see that anvil on the top, you know the storm is weakening. What happens is, from where I'm at, north of here is shallow water and some land. And what happens is that land creates a lot of heat. That heat rises up in the air and takes moisture with it, and it forms towering cumulus clouds, which is what we see right here. We see a little bubble forming up there. There's some rain underneath that. That can continue to build, but looking at that one and everyone else I've seen today, they're probably not going to build really big. When they get into 30, 40, 50, 60,000 foot before they form that anvil, uh-oh, bad. You don't want to be there. Looking behind me, all right, I've got some clouds flattening out here. I don't know, nothing really scares me. I see some rain and stuff in it, but nothing that looks like going to come back and just hammer me. Nice thing about weather is it's not 100% predictable. But with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of practice, you can actually predict a lot of the stuff that's coming at you, or how maybe even to get around it if you have radar. I do not have radar on this boat. With the new AIS system, it's possible to cruise out here. People cruise without that. But I like some information coming in, and I like to also tell the other vessels where I'm at, which is what AIS does. So it's hot, it's low 90s. There's absolutely like no wind coming into the boat. As you can see, my anemometer is 0.0, and I'm making about 4.2, 4.3 knots. And I'm going to dump those outboard tomorrow and everything, and we'll pick it up by at least 3/4 of a knot. I should be able to push around 5 right now. But I'm also bucking a little bit of current, though I think that has started to change. But this is Bahamian waters in the summertime. Lake Atlantic. The old 2 there has had a few problems. Got me through a lot. Left me a couple times. Those old 2 horses are notorious for not running very well. They are a mechanic's nightmare or dream, depending on who you are. I can keep it running most of the time. I got a broken recoil there. I can fix that easy enough. They're very temperamental. They were very temperamental when they came out in the 80s. Everybody I knew had them, hated them. And at that time, I had a 2-horse Yamaha that ran like a dream. So if you see one of these, you really don't want them unless you're a mechanic. If you're a mechanic, you can keep it going, mostly through carburetor adjustments. It needs an adjustment every other day, it seems like, based on the weather conditions. Those are 80s models. I think that's an 86. It's really nice the fact that it weighs 27 pounds and you want to jump into the dinghy and go ashore and you don't want to load the 86 to a 100 pound bigger dinghy motor on. And it's a secondary backup. Getting close to Great Sail Cay. Looks like a bunch of islands scattered out here, but it's one big island that wraps around. We got a few little cays out here in front of us, and then we hit the main island, and then it wraps around. Very interesting place. Full bonefish on the inside. Bone fishermen. Nobody comes here to fish. If you like the bonefish, pull up in the bay in Great Sail and go up in the northern end on the tide when it rises, and you will be in bonefisher heaven. All the years I've been out here, I've never once fished for a bonefish. And unfortunately, I ran into a bonefish guide when I was down in Mayaguana who wanted to go out with me for free if I'd take him out in my dinghy and my dinghy motor wasn't running. At 9.9, 1974 outboard I had, decided to lose both coils when I was as far away from home as I could get. But such is life when you're cruising, and I should have changed them out. But I read an article that said those were bulletproof. I'm not going to say the website, but you know what, sir? They're not bulletproof. I've proven that. So here we are, July 7th, belting away in the Bahamas. Could be worse. Could be storming, could be lightning bolt. Been there, done that. Not very fun. I'll take the heat over lightning bolts any day. But anyway, another day in the Bahamas. Cheers. I think it's this. They got all these signs. You got to be careful about some of them. Have a good day. Cheers.